Hey friends, so today's lesson is over the distributive property. So I did not actually include this section in your notes packet, so make sure you go to Canvas and print out just the distributive property notes sheet. If you cannot print it out, that is fine, just follow along. And work on these examples with us as we go. So distributive property, the root word is distribute. And to distribute means to give or to give out. So pretty much what that's telling us is that we're going to be giving something to something else. It's a different property. There's lots of properties in math, but distributive is the main one that we're going to focus on in 6th grade. So distributive property, 2 times 4 plus 5 is equivalent. Another word for equivalent would be equal. So 2 parenthesis 4 plus 5 is equal to 2 times 4 plus 2 times 5 because this is equal to this. So these are two different types of number sentences, and they're equivalent because they're equal. So these two number sentences are equivalent. So we're going to be using the distributive property to actually solve some problems, but also write out the equivalent number sentence. So let's just jump right into it. I've got the steps listed right here, but we're going to talk it through while we're solving. So first step is to multiply the number on the outside of the parentheses. So for this first example, that would be 3 by everything on the inside. And it says draw your arrows. And what that means is we're going to multiply 3 times 6 and 3 times 7. You got your little arrows, your little rainbows, whatever you want to call them. But I'm going to put little arrows on mine. So we're going to be multiplying, and I'm going to put the little multiplication x right here just to tell us that's what we're doing. So we're going to do 3 times 6, which is 18, plus 3 times 7, which is 21. That's pretty easy, right? Well, I actually want it to look like this up here. So yes, I know that you guys can multiply our basic numbers. They're just the multiplication facts. However, I want to see one step further. So for this second example, let's write out this number sentence. We want it to look like this. So first step is to multiply the numbers on the outside by everything on the inside. So let's draw our arrows. 4 times 12 and 4 times 3. So we're actually going to write that out. 4 times 12. Remember that dot also means multiplication. And then you take whatever sign is inside of your parentheses. In this case, it's a minus, a subtraction sign. So we're subtracting 4 times 3, that second arrow that we drew. And this is the other type of number sentence. But you can solve it to get something like this. So if we keep going, 4 times 12 would give us 48. Bring down that sign. And then 4 times 3 would give us 12. Now, when I ask for a number sentence, I want you to leave it like this or like this. Yes, you could subtract, and it would give you an answer. But that would only be when I'm telling you to solve. In this case, I do want to write out these number sentences. So let's move on down to example 3. Now this one's getting a little crazy. If you notice, I threw a letter in there, and that is called a variable. Variables are the letters in math. So I'm actually going to draw a little arrow to that and write out variable. So variables actually are letters that are taking the place of a number, but you treat it just like you would a number. So just like we did up here, we're going to start by distributing or multiplying everything on the outside to the inside. So I'm going to actually do the arrows underneath since I wrote up here. So 5 times 2. So I can go ahead and write that out. 5 times 2. Bring down that sign. Then we're going to do, I'm going to change color so it's easier to see. Then we're going to do 5 times y. And that is exactly how you write it. 5 times y. And then let's do one more color. And then 5 times 10. And that sign right there is another plus sign. Then we do 5 times 10. So this is, again, one type of number sentence, but you can actually go one step further and solve it a little bit. So let's go back to my green. 5 times 2 would give us 10. And I'll bring down that sign. Now this is tricky. If you dealt with variables, you know how to treat this. If you don't, let me explain. So since y, our variable, is representing a number that we don't know, we do not know what y equals. Y equals a question mark because we don't know. So we cannot get a number answer here. So what you do is you leave it like this, but let's take away that multiplication sign. So we're going to make them best friends, and they're going to be right next to each other. This also means multiply. When a number and a variable are right next to each other, that means to multiply. So you're basically shortening this, so you don't have to write the parentheses and the multiplication sign and all of that. It shortens it, it condenses it to make it look a little bit neater, but it still means that you would multiply 5 times whatever this variable is. And then just to keep on moving, our last one is 5 times 10, which would give us 50. And this is our number sentence. You could keep going and solve it a little bit to simplify. So I will actually do that. 10 plus 5y. So we can't do that actually because 5y, again, we don't know what y equals. We have no idea. So you cannot combine 5y with anything. But we could combine 10 and 50. So 10 plus 50 would give us 60 plus, and then you just bring down that 5y. And that would be our number sentence. And then our last example, same thing, we've got a variable, so multiply 5 times x, 5 times x, let's write that out, bring down your sign, and then you do 5 times 4. 5 times 4. So just like we did over here, we're going to shorten, we're going to condense, and turn this into 5x, and then bring down your sign. 5 times 4 would give me 20. And this is as far as you could go. So this is how you use the distributive property. You are literally distributing that 5 to everything in the parentheses. So let's move on down. Now we've been learning about GCF, and now I'm going to show you how you can actually use GCF and the ladder method to write an equivalent number sentence just like one of these that we did. So to use GCF, we have to first figure out what the GCF of these two numbers are. So 20 and 22, let's just set up our ladder, 20 and 22. And then let's start factoring out. So both of these are even, so I know I can take out a 2. Bring down my ladder. 20 divided by 2 is 10. 22 divided by 2 is 11. And unfortunately, we actually cannot go any farther. So what I do now is I make my G and I multiply everything in the G, but in this case, there's only one number, so my GCF is actually just 2. So now I'm going to use the GCF to write an equivalent number sentence for 20 plus 22, which is the numbers we just used for GCF. So literally, guys, this is so simple. Check this out. You're going to take your GCF and write it down. And then the way you get the number sentence, put your bottom row in parentheses and add the sign. So it's actually going to be 2 parentheses 10 plus 11. And that's how you would write an equivalent number sentence using GCF. How easy is that? All you're doing is solving for GCF and then putting parentheses around that bottom row, whatever it is. But make sure you pay attention to whatever the sign is. That is the most important part, because adding something and subtracting something is way different. You're going to get totally different answers. So now let's just jump into our examples. I am going to scroll down, so I got a little bit more room to work. So first thing you have to do is find the GCF of whatever numbers you're using. So let's do it. 16 and 24. Start your ladder. Again, both of these are even, so I'm just going to start with a 2. That's always my good go-to. 16 divided by 2 would give me 8. 24 divided by 2 would give me 12. Now, I am going to go up a little bit on this one. I could take out a 2, but I know my multiplication facts, and I know that you could take a 4 out of both of these. They're both multiples of 4. So I'm going to take out a 4. Then 8 divided by 4 would give me 2. 12 divided by 4 would give me 3. Now, because there is not a similar factor between 2 and 3, this is where we stop. Now, to find the GCF, you make your G and you multiply. So 2 times 4 is 8. So 8 equals my GCF. Okay, but we're writing an equivalent number sentence. That's what we're trying to do here. So just like I showed you before, take your GCF, write it down first, and then you're going to put parentheses around the bottom row on your ladder. Take a look at that sign. It's a plus sign, and that is how you'd finish this number sentence. How easy is that, y'all? So scooting on over to this problem right here, it does have a variable. So that is going to get a little tricky, but I think you guys are going to be able to handle it. So you're going to start your ladder just the exact same way. And honestly, the only difference that we're going to have is you bring that x down every single time. When you're factoring out, you just continue to bring that variable down. So again, both of these numbers are even, so let's start by taking out a 2. 12x divided by 2 would give me 6x. Just like I said, you're going to keep bringing it down. And then 24 divided by 2 would give me 12. Now, I know that 3 could go into both of these, 2 could go into both of these, and because 2 and 3 can go into both 6 and 12, I'm actually just going to do 6. I'm going to take out a 6. So 6 divided by 6 is 1, but 1x is actually the same thing as just x, okay? So I wrote 1x this time just to make sure we know that 6 divided by 6 is 1. But typically, all you would have to write down is x if it would give you a 1 in front of it. 12 divided by 6 is 2, and we cannot go any further than that, so we're going to stop. Now we find our GCF. 2 times 6 is 12, so 12 equals our GCF. Now to write that number sentence, we have to take our GCF, 12, put it on the outside, then you take the bottom row of your ladder, check out that sign, and put it in between. Now, since I already told you a second ago that x is the same thing as 1x, you don't have to write that 1. Just put x plus 2. And there you have it, folks. That is how you use GCF to write an equivalent number sentence. I am not going to go over these last 2 examples. I want you to try them yourself. Make sure you watch out for that minus sign, and all you've got to do is switch it up for right there. When you're done, check the notes key and see if you got them right. If not, please correct your mistakes. Alrighty, I will wrap this up now, and I will see you later. Bye.